Not all stories need a memorable first chapter to become a favourite series of mine. Some manga are slow burn, or only really hit their stride later on. Often a first chapter has to cram in exposition or deliver an immediate hook, whether to sell the concept to readers or, more crucially, to convince a magazine or publisher to pick it up. In competitive magazines, especially weeklies, if that hook doesn't land, a series risks early cancellation. Because of this, I don't judge first chapters too harshly if they're not the most polished. I expect to be bombarded with new world building, concepts, and names I can't possibly absorb all at once.
Okay, we are cooked.
Which makes it even more special when a first chapter does manage to blow me away. And when it does, it's usually because of a twist or a killer premise. With Spacewalking with You, it was neither. It was a feeling. The kind that makes you stop and think, oh, this is going to be one for the books. That rare click of intuition, the kind that tells you instantly, this is something special. Inahiko Dononada's debut left me teary-eyed and sprint into my nearest Waterstones to buy the physical volume, then reading it in one go without a single pause. In 2024, Spacewalking with You not only won the Manga Taisho Award, but also ranked first in the men's Kono Manga ga Sugoi, an achievement shared by no other series. For context, past winners or top-ranked titles in these awards include Shihaya Furu, March Comes In Like a Lion, Golden Kamuy, Blue Period, Delicious in Dungeon, and Look Back. That's the kind of calibre we're talking about here, and if you follow the channel, you'll know I love the hell out of those stories. Spacewalking with You is certainly no different. Because, simply put, it's one of the most tender, kind portrayals of everyday neurodivergence I've seen in manga. Without turning its characters into mascots, metaphors, or leaning on harmful stereotypes, it showcases both the struggles and the joys of neurodiversity in a way that made me feel actually seen. The acclaim in Japan is entirely earned, but here in the West, barely anyone knows about this story, and given how important I think it could be for both kids and adults alike, whether you're questioning, looking for solid representation, or just want to better understand the different ways people live their lives, I want to sell it to you the best I can. At first glance, the premise of Spacewalking with You might seem familiar. Like many slice of life stories, there isn't much of a plot, no big twists or grand arcs. Instead, it relies on heart and empathy, which all begin with a transfer student, Keisuke Uno. When Uno introduces himself, he's loud, enthusiastic, and instantly judged. Classmates slot him into nutcase territory practically on sight, mocking his mannerisms, gossiping about his notebook, and judging the way he smiles all the time. I don't know man, kids are weird. Kobayashi, by contrast, comes off as the delinquent type, an impression that sticks before anyone takes the time to look closer. He skips classes, struggles to keep a job, and forgets what others consider simple tasks, so is often seen as careless. By the time the manga really begins, we already see the assumptions surrounding both boys. Uno, the brash and unconventionally awkward transfer student, and Kobayashi, the lazy classmate, who doesn't seem to care much about anything. And from outward appearances, this probably is how neurotypicals would perceive them both. But then the manga continues, giving you crumbs and suggestions of something more. As Doronada, the author, explains, I created Kobayashi imagining him as the kind of boy who would be shunned at first sight, thinking he'll manage without help. As for Uno, I wasn't trying to turn his differences to others into entertainment value, so I was conscious of not making him too much of a character. I tried to portray Uno's struggles and joys as life-sized as possible, leaving it up to the readers to decide how they perceive him. And as a reader, I'll tell you how I see them. Two young lads who are neurodivergent. Honestly, I think it's inarguable to suggest otherwise. Now, my specific reading is that Uno is autistic and that Kobayashi has ADHD. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer with anyone's interpretation. There's a lot of overlap when it comes to neurodiversity, but I do want to explain my reasons and evidence as to my theories. Because there were so many, oh my god, that's literally me.
Yep, that's me.
Moments that I know other neurodivergent readers will read and identify with. So, starting off with Uno. Una can be blunt, sometimes too honest for social comfort, but it never comes from malice. It's that kind of radical honesty many autistic people share, saying what's true in a room that expects a polite white lie. Some autistic people naturally lean towards literal thinking. They focus on concrete details and take words at face value rather than navigating subtext or indirect communication. Often this gets mistaken for rudeness, but as with Una, he's just trying to connect in the way that feels natural to him. Next is his struggle to put names to faces. It's not shyness. Una isn't socially anxious, he's actually quite bubbly. It's about recognition and routine. His sister steps in to help by asking the teacher for class photos, and Una memorises every name almost instantly. That kind of recall isn't unusual among autistic people, especially when it involves pattern recognition or structured information. Loud, abrupt noises, on the other hand, overwhelm him. They slice through whatever he's doing, jolting him out of focus, something the manga conveys through jittery typesetting and warped bold imagery. Whether you read it as sensory overload or misophonia, the manga captures the experience with unsettling precision. As someone with extreme misophonia myself, I can tell you that certain sounds, so chewing, tapping, heavy breathing, can trigger an intense, almost physical fight or flight response. You either leave the room or you snap. And these sensory processing differences are extremely common in autistic people, affecting the vast majority across one or more senses. Then there's Una's notebook, which becomes an anchor of sorts for him. It's not a quirk, it's a survival tool. He logs names, outlines daily tasks, even sets social rules for himself, what to do when getting on the bus, and so on. Lists bring order, and order brings peace. As someone who does the same, that moment hit me hard. I've been belittled for needing lists, for treating structure like a lifeline. But for many autistic people, structure and predictability make the day possible. But there was a specific note/rule that broke me. Even if it hurts, wait to cry about it until you get home. That's masking in its rawest form, stifling emotion until it's safe to exist. It's also deeply gendered. Boys are taught not to cry, just as girls are often taught to hide distress behind composure. Either way, the message is the same. Your feelings don't belong in public. Being autistic doesn't mean you lack emotion. If anything, it's the opposite. Feeling things deeply but struggling to express them in ways others recognise. Some people go quiet, stim, or withdraw instead of crying or shouting. Many also experience difficulty identifying or describing emotions, because masking or camouflaging is a survival strat. It often means suppressing natural behaviours, compensating with learned social scripts, or hiding traits to blend in. Over time, it leads to exhaustion, emotional strain, and sometimes burnout. And lastly, there's Una's hyperfixation, his love for space. It's not just a hobby, it's a special interest, one that's shaped him since childhood. Typical hobbies come and go, but special interests are different. They're intense, often lifelong, and deeply regulating. They provide joy, focus, and identity, even if they sometimes override daily needs like eating, sleeping, or socialising. We see Una spend hours flipping through astronomy encyclopedias as a child, and later writing reminders about when it's socially okay to talk about space. He even stops himself mid-sentence when the excitement threatens to spill over. It's joyful, but also pressured, something that grounds him, but something he feels he has to manage. For Una, every little system, the notebook, the rules, the reminders, isn't about being quirky, it's his way of understanding and navigating life. Spacewalking with You doesn't romanticise that, it shows it, clear, grounded, and achingly human. And for people like Una, or me, who try to cut down on sensory overload wherever possible, this video's sponsor, Manta Sleep, has been a big help. Their masks are built for comfort and are completely blackout. They're soft against the skin, fully adjustable, and designed to block out distractions so you can easily switch off. If you're like me and fall asleep to music, ASMR, or podcasts, their Sound Sleep mask has built-in Bluetooth speakers that stay comfortably in place all night, with no slipping earbuds or tangled wires. They also make a white noise machine that creates a consistent,
soothing soundscape, playing ocean waves, rainfall, or classic white noise, so you can minimise distractions and settle down faster. It's compact and simple to use, no apps, no pairing, just one button and a small bedside remote, so you can control the noise machine from a distance without leaving your comfy bed. If you're someone who gets overstimulated, struggles to sleep, or just wants a quieter headspace to recharge, check out the link in the description to see the full selection of products and use my code LINES at checkout for 10% off your order. A massive thank you to MantaSleep for sponsoring this video.
But if Uno's world is built on structure and routine, Kobayashi's is the opposite, a constant struggle to hold things together. As on the other end of the neurodivergent spectrum, Kobayashi is far more reserved. He's often judged for small mistakes, forgetting to put something back, missing a step at work, and each one chips away at him. He wonders why he struggles so much with tasks that seem simple to everyone else, and the manga captures that internal spiral perfectly. It's not about laziness, it's the quiet frustration of seeing a pattern repeat and not knowing how to stop it. You start to feel incompetent, like you'll never be good at anything. I get that. If I don't write a task down the moment I'm told it, it's gone. And when that happens at work, you don't want to bother your boss by asking them to repeat themselves, but not asking makes you more anxious, and that anxiety makes it even harder to remember. The manga gets that cycle of self-doubt so right, the way a forgotten task turns into shame and shame turns into silence. Despite how he's perceived, Kobayashi is incredibly patient and kind. There's a quiet attentiveness to him that contradicts the assumptions people make. He's curious, observant, and even when he's frustrated, he still tries to meet people halfway. It's no wonder Uno warms up to him. There's a sense that Kobayashi listens in a way most people don't. One of the most telling moments is when he starts taking notes at work after seeing Uno do it too. It's simple, but meaningful. Uno provided a technique that helps him manage too, and Kobayashi adopts it in interest. That tiny act of mutual understanding speaks volumes. It's two people who've been called difficult, helping each other survive in a world that isn't built for them. Then there's the moment where Kobayashi blurts out in frustration mid-thought, cutting across his own inner monologue. The manga visualises this with the speech bubble literally interrupting his thinking. It's not rudeness or impulsiveness, it's his brain jumping faster than his words can follow. Everything about him suggests inattentive ADHD. The forgetfulness, the zoning out, the dozing off mid-task. When most people picture ADHD, they think of the visible hyperactivity, fidgeting, running around, non-stop talking, but inattentive ADHD is internal. It's constantly mistaken for personality traits and can look similar to depression and/or anxiety. People with inattentive ADHD often struggle to sustain attention, follow multiple step instructions, or keep track of details. Not because they don't care, but because their attention flickers unpredictably. They might appear quiet, dreamy, or off in their own world, even while their mind is racing underneath. Kobayashi's story isn't about apathy, it's about invisibility. He's trying, constantly, but the effort either goes unseen, or he internalises them and people don't catch on. So when Uno's presence helps him find small ways to cope, like note-taking, asking questions without fear, it's not some grand revelation, it's quiet recognition. Two people who have been misread finally seeing themselves reflected in someone else. Individually, both Uno and Kobayashi are lovely characters, each with their own habits and patterns. But it's in watching their interactions and how they learn from one another that the manga becomes something special. They're both teen boys navigating life in ways neurotypicals may not understand. Hell, there are even times where they don't fully understand each other, and that's fine. Sometimes you don't have to completely understand how another person's brain works. Accepting their way of thinking, and if needed, asking questions to grasp the reason behind it, can be enough. Kobayashi learns about Uno's structures and rules, things that might seem atypical to some, but which act as a safety net for Uno. Rather than seeing them as something to fix or belittle, he recognises them as Uno's own problem-solving strategy, tailored to his needs. Kobayashi is impressed enough to apply the same approach to his own timekeeping struggles at work. And, to his surprise, it actually works for him too. What begins as a support system for Uno turns into a practical tool for Kobayashi as well. proof that Ono's method isn't a weakness, but something that can be adaptable and valuable outside of its original context, showing how strategies born from accessibility can enrich life for everyone. And we see this ripple effect in real life too. Lowered pavements were first made for wheelchair users, but they ended up helping parents with prams, travellers with luggage, cyclists, delivery workers, basically everyone. Audiobooks, first created for blind and low vision readers, are now mainstream for millions of people. Accessibility innovations often begin with a specific need, but they ripple outward into universal benefits. Ono's list-taking, created as a support for his autism, is one of those things. It has the potential to help anyone. Kobayashi not only accepts Ono's way of thinking, he adjusts his support so it complements Ono's system instead of disturbing it. It's like he's speaking Ono's language. Rather than writing in the notebook of rules itself, something Ono is incredibly protective and defensive over, Kobayashi tapes a new rule to the back cover. Whenever you need help at school, talk to Yamato Kobayashi. And that small gesture, respecting Ono's rules, keeping his book intact, and offering help that Ono could remove if he wanted, feels like such a lovely thing to do. That moment captures the common theme of the series. Despite their differences, never once is the be normal rhetoric pushed between them, the kind of rhetoric neurodivergent people so often face. Like the manga says, sometimes people just need a little something extra so they can live like everyone else. Doronoda confirmed that Spacewalking with You is set in the Heisei era. Personally, vibes alone, I'd place it in the late 90s to early 2000s, if only because of the striking lack of technology, especially phones, which are now regularly seen in modern slice-of-life stories. In Japan during the 1990s, neurodivergent terms did exist in professional and medical circles, but they weren't widely known or used among the general public. Doronoda leans into that, somewhat. In interviews, they described taking a neutral perspective, showing the behaviour, not the diagnosis. They didn't want to create geniuses, just kids who feel like the class next door. And that's a refreshing change, especially given that most portrayals of autism, particularly in the West, default to the gifted white male portrayal. That group exists, of course, but when it dominates representation, it narrows what autism looks like when there's a whole spectrum that exists. So that narrative and period choice matters. Leaving Ono and Kobayashi's diagnoses unspoken often lets readers recognise neurodivergent coded traits whilst leaving space for overlap. Dyspraxia, OCD, sensory processing differences, or anxiety, etc. Regardless, I hope there are people who read this story and see themselves somewhere they never have before. And for readers less familiar with neurodivergence, I hope it offers new ways to understand, appreciate, and reflect on their own behaviour. You can read the first chapter for free on Kodansha's site, or in the K-Manga app, which currently runs up to chapter 11 if you don't want to wait, as only Volume 1 is out physically, with Volume 2 releasing next month. So, if you want a series that treats neurodivergence as ordinary life rather than spectacle, finding friendship in small but meaningful acts of love, then Spacewalking with You is a manga I couldn't recommend enough. It's thoughtful, it's kind, and undoubtedly human. Hey guys, thanks for watching to the end of the video. As always, want to give a shout out to people on Patreon and also YouTube memberships, which I've unlocked now for a few months, for supporting the channel and helping me make videos like this. Also want to give a shout out to Manta Sleep for sponsoring the video. But yeah, Spacewalking with You. Absolutely phenomenal first volume, in case the video didn't give it away. Talks about a lot of topics that I don't think are really talked about much in the manga sphere, if you will. And I know there's going to be a lot of viewers who may resonate with a lot of the characteristics and whatnot that happens with both Ono and Kobayashi. But yeah, I'm going to be with you guys with another video, hopefully in November. That's what I'm pushing for. So I will catch you guys in the next one.